the Isteady Pro 4, a GoPro Hero 9 and 10 gimbal. Let's go. First thing you'll see is a warranty card and a user manual, then you get to the main gimbal. For being on the cheaper end, this gimbal does have a nice weight to it and it is sturdy. The gimbal trigger was a little bit confusing, but we'll get into that later. We have our charging ports for the gimbal as well as a pass-through charging for the GoPro. Now moving on to powering up your gimbal, you're going to have to hold the record button for a bit longer than you think, 5 seconds. If you hold it less, you'll see how much battery the gimbal has. Make sure you have your GoPro on your gimbal when you turn it on. It's going to make a rattling noise and it's going to be a little bit startling, but in general, we got it all figured out. Here's the buttons layout and all that stuff for you. Check it out. Pause the video if you need to. Beyond all that, we'll go through the motor controls in just a little bit. First off, I wanted to address a certain issue. The media mod doesn't fit on this gimbal. I was kind of disappointed, really disappointed. We're going to be looking into a different gimbal, mostly because we want to have the dual-sided microphone. It's very important for me. At the same time, we'd also like to have some other recording devices able to be integrated with the gimbal as well. When it comes to the operation instructions, the joystick is really easy to use. You just have to figure it out and toy with it a little bit as we did. Check out those instructions on the side. Now getting into how to pair your gimbal to your GoPro. To be a remote, you got to press that button on the top of the gimbal where you have your GoPro setting, and then from there you got to double tap it twice. Once you double tap it twice, go into your GoPro settings, slide over to your connections, click connections, connect device, and then you're going to connect to the remote. Give it a couple seconds. Now when you press your gimbal's record button, it'll start recording on your GoPro. This gimbal has 4 different motion modes, which we'll go through. Pause the video if you want to check it out all at once right here. Gimbal mode 1, pan, follow, default mode, tilt and roll, axis both locked. Camera is able to move to left or right smoothly. So left or right, only pans, nothing else. Next up, pan and tilt follow. Roll axis locked. Camera is able to move left and right and tilt up and down. Number 3 is all locked. The camera stays in current orientation. No matter what you do, it doesn't move whichever direction you go. So that's just the best way if you're going to have a still shot going somewhere where you have it already set up either way. And moving on to number 4. Point of view, all follow, and inception. All follow tilt axis, roll axis, and pan axis. All follow the movement of the gimbal. Inception, hold the gimbal horizontally and push joystick to left or right. So you can have some extra movement with it as well, but we'll go through that in just a couple seconds. Using the joystick for the axis, you can see that you can go up and down, side to side. I guess it's called tilt or pan. I'm not that good with all these technical words, but in general, you got that across. Beyond that, you can do the side to side slider that'll move counterclockwise or clockwise. Last thing I want to mention is the gimbal trigger. If you double click it, it will auto center your whole device. Either way, I don't know what sports mode is, and they don't explain it. So getting into the app that comes with this gimbal, you're going to have to download the Hohem app. From there, you're going to need to make sure that your Bluetooth's on. If your Bluetooth isn't on and your gimbal isn't on, you won't have it found, but you can't find your gimbal in your Bluetooth. You just have to make sure that you have your Bluetooth settings on. Once you go back to your app, you will have it seen, and then from there, just get into the settings by clicking sure. Next, we're going to get into calibrating the gimbal, making sure the gimbal is calibrated while shooting our footage. Even though the picture looks easy, it took me a little bit to figure out, but just follow all the prompts and you will have your gimbal calibrated in no time. They have some pretty easy to follow guides with pictures, but beyond that, in the app, you can change around a bunch of different controls. You could also use the controls remotely from your phone instead of just using the gimbal joystick. Lastly, let's go over the gimbal motor settings, which you can change for each axis depending on how fast you want them to turn. Depending on what you need, this could be useful depending on how fast you're going to turn or what type of shooting you're going to do. If you really know what you're going to do and you need to set it for a certain setting, this is where you'd want to go. Either way, that's pretty much it for all of the stuff that we have for this. But either way, this concludes the video. We have an extra long extended cut of this for our members behind the paywall, but either way, don't forget to become a member. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and expect more from the channel because we're going to be doing a lot more stuff either way. Stay elevated and peace out.